Hi everybody, welcome to Let's Talk Chiropractic. I'm Dr. John, that's my buddy over there, Dr. Alex. This is Brittany Ladner. You know, Dr. Alex was exciting with her. She first came in for like about a year. She had like a tightness in her left trap. But as I sort of talked to her, there was a whole story. So for the next 30 seconds, give everybody some idea. Who is Brittany Ladner?
I am officially a disabled veteran. I have become a stay-at-home, work-at-home individual because disability just wasn't going to work for me. So I've been doing what I can. I was injured when I was in the service in 2006, and I've been disabled, according to the doctors, since 2010. Nerve damage in my leg, and it's caused a lot of issues for a long time. Never wanted to come to a chiropractor because I had had an orthopedic specialist tell me not to get an adjustment because of the nerve damage. So I was really afraid to come in. And then finally, about a month and a half ago, I just reached a point where the pain was too much. And I just had to give it a shot and see what I could do because I couldn't get comfortable, couldn't sit, couldn't lay, couldn't stand, couldn't do anything. And got desperate. Figured it couldn't get any worse. So I came in, and I'm glad I did.
We're going to have you see what I see. She first came in for one problem, and then she was explaining a whole bunch of problems. So go get yourself a nice hot cup of cocoa or something. Come back in about a minute. Let's listen to the rest of Brittany's story. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. John. This is Dr. Alex. Brittany, tell us your story. You know, Dr. Alex, she first came in for 1 year. She had a knot on her left side. But I pray when they leave that first visit, I call it a wow factor. Between you and I, we checked her leg length. Her right side was off like a whole inch. And then she's going to tell us about her chronic right hip problem. So when the right hip was off, it was forcing everything off to the left side. So it's a joy to say, what's causing this problem up here? She told me she was a stomach sleeper for 34 years. So I think a patient leaves thinking, I came in for one knot in my left trap. This guy tells me, don't sleep on my stomach. Tells me he can help some of my chronic hip. So tell your story a little bit. What went on with this right hip, first of all, Brittany?
I was injured. It was a training accident, and somebody wasn't where they were supposed to be. Missteps happened, and I ended up getting the brunt of it, and I fell about 15 feet with all of my gear on. All of my weight landed on my right leg, pretty in a standing position. So I had a compression fracture in my right leg. And the problems just progressively got worse and worse from there. Continued doing what I had to do, and the pain got worse over the years. It didn't take long that it got really bad that my leg would feel like it was falling asleep. I kept going to the doctor. I'm like, something's wrong. And it took quite a few years for them to do nerve studies and realize there was nerve damage and not just the sciatic nerve pain that the doctor kept saying, oh, it's just a sciatic nerve. You'll be fine. Just ice it, stretch it out. You'll be okay. And it did. It took quite a few years. It took 6 years after the injury for them to discover what was actually the problem. And at that point, it was too late to do anything. And I've just been trying to figure it out since then. Like I said before, I saw multiple specialists. And one had told me, you know, don't ever get an adjustment. Because I was like, what about a chiropractor? Like, what do you think? And no, I wouldn't recommend it. With the nerve damage the way it is, you never know what could happen. You could make the issues worse. So I listened. And I know multiple people that, you know, go to chiropractors. A good friend of mine comes here, and she always said to me, you know, you should try it. And I was just like, yeah, well, that was in the back of my mind. I'm like, they told me not to because they went to school. I didn't. I'm the one that's in pain. I just want to listen to somebody who knows what they're doing. And then, after one night of literally trying to like fall asleep, holding onto the back of a chair or laying in weird yoga positions because I just could not get comfortable, could not fall asleep, could not get the pain to subside just enough to even pass out. I messaged my friend in the morning. I was like, give me the number for your chiropractor. It was a Saturday morning, and I called, and it was 11:15. And God love him, Dr. John answered the phone, and I'm in pain. Can you do something for me? I couldn't even collect my thoughts. And, oh yeah, honey, come right in. I was like, okay, I'll be there as soon as I can. Got in the car and came over, and he did an adjustment and put the TENS unit on, and I was sitting there, I was like, oh, that's right, I do have one I could use that for that. So I started using that, and I was sleeping with it for a couple of days on. I didn't even take it off. It felt like, because the pain was just so bad in my shoulder. And totally forgot about the pain in my hip for those couple of days just because the pain was so bad in my shoulder. But after the first adjustment, that I'm like, hey, I can actually walk out of here. Because I'd even said to my friend, I was like, well, we'll see if I'm still walking in an hour. I'll let you know how it goes. Because I didn't know what to expect. And it's been almost a month that I've been coming, and I actually talked my mom into coming and getting an adjustment the other day because she was having a hard time walking, never been to a chiropractor herself. Talked her into coming over, so we come together now, and I like I said, I always knew it was helpful for people. I was just afraid to come, and I'm really glad. It stinks that I had to have that be the catalyst, but I'm kind of glad it happened because
I'm glad you came.
I can actually lay on my right side. Like he said, you have to stop laying on your stomach. I was like, okay. Because I always had to just be in a weird position to get my leg to not be in pain. I can actually lay on my right side for the first time in like 15 years. Since the injury, I can actually stand to lay on my right side. Wow. So something's better than it was. The pain's still there, nerve damage. I know it's always going to be painful, but I don't hobble as much because things are more straight now. So I think it's better no matter what.
Yeah, you're a good storyteller, girl. But I think it's time for a break. I want you on the second segment. I'm going to ask some questions about maybe why did her doctor tell her not to come here? If your doctors are telling you not to see a chiropractor, let's explore, Dr. Alex, maybe why they would think that way. And in the last segment, we're going to adjust you, Brittany. I want people to see what it's like, even with this hip, fracture of yours. So, again, go get another cup of coffee. Come back in a couple minutes. Hi everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk Chiropractic. I think Brittany gave a beautiful story about what's going on in her life, Dr. Alex, and that's why you try to explore the whole story. Patients will come in and they'll say, well, just last week I fell on ice. We need to know though, like in her case, why was sleeping on her stomach for 34 years not good? Why was that injury years ago still with her? I think the doctor probably felt neurologically that these chiropractors are bone crunchers, that if you twist that back too aggressively, I can't wait till she goes back to that doctor. And in a very respectful manner, hopefully she says, this guy respectfully knew I had damage, he was careful with my right hip, but now that he got my sacroiliac joint in alignment, my hip feels so much better. For the first time in 15 years, I could sleep on that side. I hope this doctor says, you know what, wow, I am glad that you did not take my advice. Hopefully that some egotistical doctors will be like, I told you not to go. So don't be afraid to tell them the truth. But Dr. Alex, explain, when she stepped on her stomach for 34 years, why is stomach sleeping so bad for people's spines?
A lot of times, the way to get this through someone's head about what's happening when you're sleeping in your stomach is I demonstrated on a wall. Now I'll show you here. If you can imagine turning your head and for 8 hours, if you're sleeping properly, 8 hours like this. You usually got one hip up or something wild like that. And just 8 hours, you're just putting your spine in a position this is fully turned to the left. My goodness. So then when you wake up, you expect it to just be 100% able to look straight? That's not how it goes. Some of those joints, during the night, they might just get a little fixated, a little stuck. And when you come back, you'll feel like your head's coming back, but not all of it came back. That's wild. Now you're going to get degeneration, all these dysfunctional disorders. We get the migraines, we get those spasms, the bad shoulders. The neck and the shoulders are buddies. So it's terrible.
And a lot of people, her main complaint initially was like a knot for 1 year on her left side. A lot of physical therapists might have given just electric stim on the muscular knot, never investigated that sleeping on her belly misaligned her neck. So let's adjust the neck, stop her sleeping on her stomach, and then that knot should never come back, Brittany. Tell us about this right hip. Like, what changes have you seen from this chronic damage that you had falling on that leg, 15 feet, like you said?
Oh my goodness. Before that, I was able to do just about anything. I had a lot of strength in my legs. I could hike and rock climb and everything. And then with all the issues that I've had with it afterwards, I can't do all the things I could before just because of the issues that happen. If I twist wrong, I fall. There's nothing that I can do to change that. The nerve goes and I fall. Since coming and keeping in alignment better, I'm not noticing. I'm noticing a decrease in the twinge pains. The pain, like I said, is still there. The main pain is constant, but there's not as many. Oh, that was the nerve. I'm not noticing that as often during the day. and it's noticeable. I don't miss it. There's never a day that I didn't have it. I'm just having it less frequently. So that's nice. And the big thing, like I said, I can sleep on my right side. I was always on my stomach because it was the only way I could fall asleep. Couldn't sleep on my back, couldn't sleep on my sides. I just had to be on my stomach with my leg in like the weird awkward position. I don't even know how I got in that position, because if I thought about doing it sitting and pulling my leg up the way I have to, I couldn't. It wasn't a thought. So that's a huge plus for me, to be able to just lay on that side and not have it feel like my hip's gonna explode.
A lot of my patients, I have these little conversations with them. On disability, their income is not enough to survive, but they're in too much pain to go get a part-time job. So I sort of spill it out for them, Alex. I will get Brittany as healthy as I can get her, yet she still needs the disability for permanent injuries. But if I can get her more functional, so she can get out and maybe work 10, 20 hours a week, still be under the threshold. I forget if it's $17,000 a year that she can make on her own in a part-time job, then that's much more tolerable for her to have a disability income and then have a part-time job. So I want people who are watching this show that are on disability to say, yes, they can still see a chiropractor. No, we probably can sometimes not always get you off a disability, but if we can help her to be more functional, to get another part-time job, then she can have a better lifestyle. Because it's not easy living on just whatever, $800 a month, or whatever disability gives them.
No.
Okay, well, let's go see what an adjustment is like, okay? A lot of you watching this show, I know people will always stop me in public and say, does it hurt to get the neck twisted? Or does it hurt to get the back in alignment? So she had a terrible hip injury. I want you to see what it's like to, when we talk about, are her legs level or unlevel? We'll take our time to see what it's like. I want you to see what the adjustment was like. When you brought your mother, remember? She was very nervous. She said, don't touch my neck. And we did not. How old is your mom?
73.
Yeah, so her mother was 73. Main complaint was the lower right hip also. You watched me that day. The legs were unlevel initially. We tap it gently. We recheck it. The legs are level. Mom's been here, what, twice so far?
Yeah.
And she's, what, about 30% better maybe?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So it's nice for her to say, Mom, it probably was this kind of conversation. Don't be worried. He's not going to hurt you. He's not going to touch your neck. So if those of you out there, her mother's neck is good. But when she says, Alex, don't touch my neck, I respect that. I think if someone has even been scared by rougher chiropractors 10 years ago, it's not my job to say, well, I'm the doctor. I want to still crack your neck anyway. Nope. A 73-year-old says, don't touch my neck. I respect it. We're going to just fix her mother's right hip problem and never check her neck. Okay? Okay, let's go back to the adjustment room. I want you to see exactly what we do in the adjustment room. So give us a couple minutes. Hi everybody, this is Dr. John, this is Brittany. We're in Dr. Alex's adjustment room over here. And again, just to explain, what I love about Dr. Alex, you have your own patients. Remember, we didn't talk about that in our last show like we wanted to. I think a good chiropractor right out of school, I want you to have your own patients, so this is your side of the office, you have your own secretaries. I don't come over here and try to critique, and tell you what to do. I want you to learn like I did. You learn and get better and better, as time goes on. So you're right, I try to give you some guides, every now and then,
I love it.
But we call this a high-low. Again, I want to explain it because some chiropractors just have a basic standard table. Nothing against them, but we buy the best tools. I think any good carpenter gets good results with better tools. This is the most expensive table you can buy because it goes down. So if you're an 80-year-old person, even with you, Brittany, you could be 20 and be in a lot of pain. They look at that table like, do I have to get in and out? I can't sleep on my own bed. How am I going to get on your table? So we purchased these high-low tables where we're going to push a button and Brittany's going to go down. The first time I met her, we wanted to check the length of her legs. There's 2 sacroiliac joints at the base of her spine. I felt when the way she said it even, she landed on her right leg. Again, you have to be like a detective. Listen very intently to the entire story. So though the doctors were focusing on her hip socket, to me, to have such extensive damage to their hip socket, there had to be a misalignment to the sacroiliac joint. So sure enough, we were able, some people, they have such damage, you can't get them level. But I was excited myself to see she was unlevel, we adjusted her, she was level. So let's put the table down, and I want people to get an understanding of what that means if they're level or not. So God has given all of us a right and the left sacroiliac joint. It's right about at the waistline. That's where some girls, if they were bathing suits, have like dimples. There's little dimples in the lower back. So the first time I met her again, just a month ago, her main complaint was 1 year of a knot on her left shoulder. And I thought, before I get to that though, let's check the whole thing. So then she told me about that story that she fractured the side of her body. Doctors told her not to come to the chiropractor. We wanted to measure the length of her legs. They were level the last couple visits. And it still looks pretty good. Yeah, I thought it might be off a little bit. And like you did, Dr. Alex, the further you bend them, the better. So they look fine. But this is what the adjustment was like. We would bring it out. You put your one hand on the right sacroiliac. The angle is critical. If you looked at the spine, there's like an angle of the hip bone here. So we get on that and we get on the left. So it's just a gentle tap. And again, Alex, what you and I take for granted, people watching the show are going to say, my pain is terrible. I'm afraid of chiropractors. I've heard stories that, like her doctor, there's stories out there that chiropractors are too rough. He might have said to her, I don't want you to go to help her. I hope he's excited that he sees she's better. So if I got her hip and I probably did her side posture, and then I think you could neurologically cause more damage. So when I told her there's a more gentler way, and that's why I think it's powerful we do it on TV. So if this woman fell, fractured her hip socket, has neurological damage, can't sleep on that side for years, here's what we did. We went on that side and on the left, and just a gentle little tap. I think if her medical doctor were here, he would say, I have no idea that there's a more gentle style, that there's a drop piece table, that there's a high-low table. That's where the power of this show comes in. She was bold enough and brave enough to say to herself, you know what? I respect this doctor, but I can't stand, listen to what she said. How would you like Alex to sit in a chair to try to sleep? I've seen it on TV where these people, like they're up in a tree and they're sleeping like that, hugging the tree. So it's a joy for me. That's why I said I never want to retire. It's a joy to try to get it in alignment. Now she can start to sleep better. So we'll do it again. We pull this lever up. It comes up about a 1/4 inch only. We get on her right side that was off when she fell for 15 feet, right on her right leg where there was a training exercise problem. And we get on that, and this side, just a gentle little push. That's all we do. I do that to 10-year-olds or 40-year-olds or 90-year-olds, Alex. Doesn't matter to me. So my thought was, when she landed, this misaligned, and it started her spine to twist. She could have got all the massages and physical therapy in the world where they would have focused on that knot. But if you don't get her level and you don't get her straight, it would have kept coming back all the time. The biggest challenge is when I was a stomach sleeper for 23 years, I had 2 months of restless nights trying to change the habit. Brittany, be honest with me. Is it hard not to sleep on your belly, or are you finding it easier as the weeks go by?
It's getting easier as the weeks go by.
Yeah,
it's still every once in a while I'm like, oh, I missed, because it was just so comfortable, but I pay for it.
Well, think about it now. If you do any habit for 34 years, Dr. Alex, her brain is so in tune to sleeping like that. So I stay persistent. Every time I see her, I want to encourage her. I don't care if it takes 6 months. I want her to know that she must eventually, like I have never been on my stomach now in years, but I was on my stomach all the time too. So you persevere, okay? I promise you that habit will just... So this was off. As you stepped on your stomach, the whole spine starts to compensate and twist, causing this knot over here. So that's the beauty of chiropractic, Alex. You get them level, now she can sleep on this side for the first time in years. You get her straighter, now her knot for a whole year is gone. You get her not to sleep on her stomach, adjust her neck, and it stops all of her headaches. So it's a joy just to do what we do. Now again, on this TV show, one of my patients showed me on their phone, on Hulu, there's a chiropractor who is just so rough. I don't know if it's just his ego, to be very honest with you, but I think he likes to hear all the loud cracking sounds. There should be some shifting of the spine, but now that she's level, this is shifting less and less. So like you did last show, if it doesn't crack, we don't force it. That's the innate body telling me, pretty much Brittany's in alignment here, but don't be too rough with her. So Brittany, take a deep breath in and exhale. Just push right along the ribs, a couple little clicks. So nothing here. So this is level, Alex. I tell patients, the longer that Brittany stays in alignment, And the straighter her spine gets, the less and less she should hear cracking, and then I'll see her less and less often. So this is in alignment. Her hip socket is much better than it was. There's probably even still further healing, because it's been out of alignment for what, 15 years? Mm-hmm. So if it's been out for 15 years, Alex, and it's in place for 1 month, neurologically, ligaments, cartilage, tendons, all of that stuff needs more time. And I try to educate these patients in every visit that I want Brittany to say, you know what, though I'm level, he's right. 15 years versus 1 month, let's give it more time and see what it does. Now I'm going to bring her up. This is the most delicate part of the adjustment. Everybody is so afraid to have their necks cracked. We'll try this just to see what it does. So as you were improving, what'd you do? Come home and say, Mom, you got to come see this guy?
She had a really rough day.
Okay.
She overdoes it. She pushes, does things she shouldn't do. She lifted something heavy and was complaining for about a week. And finally, the one day, I could hear the pain in her voice when she was talking. I said, Mom, why don't you just go to the chiropractor? I'll go with you. You're going with me.
Good.
I have an appointment. Go with me. He'll get you in. I know he will. So just go with me. You can watch what he does. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And I'll be there. And that, she came, and I'm really glad she did, because she's
gonna get
definitely
better and
seeing
better.
improvement.
I'm glad you because people watching. They have family members that need to be here also. And I want them to say, you brought her with you. Like for moral support, you were with her too. Okay, we only have about a minute left. So again, remember, we palpate. The upper cervical spine, you can feel it. As it went to the right, it was pulling these muscles on the left. So my job is to gently shift it left, and then that knot is going to be gone for good. So again, we use that little finger here, point of contact. Try to go nice and slow, just a little. Good girl, nothing major. So again, on this TV show, Alex, it is so loud when this guy does it. She felt it, I could feel it, but I'm sure you guys didn't even hear it. Chiropractic does not have to be rough. It doesn't have to be scary. I'll stop talking, see if they can hear it. There's a little one. They probably can hear that. But that wasn't bad, was it? So again, there's so many people out there today, Brittany, who need chiropractic. But they've been told it's scary and it's rough. So by people watching what we just did, maybe now people say, you know what? I've been having headaches for years. I've been sleeping on my stomach for years. Let me get to the chiropractor. Okay?
Definitely.
Okay. So in closing, it's a joy to be a chiropractor. I will cut back my hours, Dr. Alex, as I get older. But again, this future is for you. I love, I think I still you have a purpose. She's a beautiful person. She brings in her mother, and you watch. Her mother might bring in one of her friends in next month. It's a joy. So that's why I try to get my rest, keep my mind sharp, so you and I could do this for 50, 60 years. Okay? Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great holiday season. And Brittany, her mother, everybody, we're all thankful for watching.
Merry Christmas.